Okay, Linda, we are live now. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so it actually took a while for us to get here. Well, a few minutes because we had some technical difficulties. We are here. I'm happy to have you. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. So, you guys go ahead and join the live. I currently can see who's there, who's not there. However, I believe this information will be here, and whoever hasn't watched it can restream it. So let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and get started. This is my very first live session on Facebook, and I'm happy to be doing it with Linda. So Linda, you're a nurse currently practicing in the United States, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Originally from Nigeria.
Yes. So I'm from Nigeria. I've been practicing in the United States for, let's say, 3 years now, almost 3 years. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, amazing. So you're familiar, you're not a newbie. You know your way around.
Okay. I still consider myself as new though, but okay.
Although your state is a very big state, so hey, if I travel there, though I've been here for so long, I'm sure I'll still have to find myself around.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really.
All right. So now let's start from your nursing journey. So in Nigeria, what did you practice in school? I mean, what did you study in school rather?
Okay, of course, nursing. So I've been a nurse. I think I've just been a nurse for like um that's the only course I've studied like in the university and then became a nurse. So I've only been a nurse and I've been a nurse for this year will make it 12 years. So it's been a little bit. So I practiced about 5 years in Nigeria and then I moved to the UK first. So I moved to the United States from the UK. So in the UK, I practiced for, let's say, approximately 4 years, and then here, getting to 3 years. So that has been my journey.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
You are quite an experienced nurse. You have a lot in your portfolio. Okay, so why in Nigeria, after practicing for 4 years, I'm sure you had already been used to it. What made you take the decision that you wanted to move to the UK? What prompted that decision for you?
So I've always wanted to practice outside my country. So I just started working towards it after I finished my nursing school in 2013. So, like everything I was doing, I was just trying to see how I can do it. First of all, I wanted to travel to study, and then I now saw the opportunity to work. So I thought that was really cool. So like when I'm working, then I can study. So I started like it's not something you just decide and you go straight away. You have to start writing all the exams, applying, and all of that. So that's exactly what I did. So when I decided that I was going to move to the UK, then I started like trying to get all the requirements, like passing the English exam, passing the nursing exam. You have to write a nursing exam in Nigeria. And then when you get to the UK, you write the other one. So that's basically it. So
So you took your NCLEX in Nigeria.
no, so because I moved to the UK first, UK you still have to write a part of the exam in your country. So I wrote the that exam in Nigeria and then moved to the UK. So that's their own process. But then I was in the UK when I started the process for the United States. So I wrote my NCLEX in the UK. Mhm.
Okay.
So
So
it's
now
just
let's try to look at the transition from Nigeria to the UK. So what like if someone is considering that journey, what is the first step? Like what is the first thing that you will have to do?
okay. So for the UK, um, if you're a nurse and you whatever country that you are in and you want to move to the UK to practice as a nurse, what you need to do first of all is go to the NMC website, NMC UK website, and then try to find the requirement for internationally trained nurses who wants to practice in the UK. So usually you have to write an English exam. IELTS is the popular one. They also have the OET as well. So usually when you decide which one you want to write. So the IELTS, they have like the what they require. So when I wrote my own IELTS, you have to get 7 on each of the part of the English, like speaking, writing, reading, and all of that. So you have to get 7 all through. But I think right now, for the writing is 6.5, but I know it changes. So that's why I'll always say, whenever you decide, because I don't know when you watch this video, whenever you decide to practice in the UK, you just go to the NMC UK website. All the information is there. Then usually it requires that you have to meet their English requirement. However, if you are moving to the UK from some countries where English is their first language, you don't need to meet that requirement, okay? And then you now register to write your English, your nurse, I think it's called CBT, computer-based test. So you have to write that computer-based test for nurses that want to practice in the UK in your home country. So you find a center to write that exam. So if the center is not where you are in your country, then you have to travel to that place. So when I was still in Nigeria, I had to go to Lagos to write the CBT exam. So when you pass that CBT, then you can get a job in your home country. So once you get a job, then you can when you get a job, then usually it depends whether your employer will sponsor you to move to the UK or maybe you sponsor yourself, and then you get to the UK. And when you now get to the UK, you now have to write their other exam, which is the practical aspect. They don't have that for the United States. So you write the OSCE, and then that's how you find yourself in the
So
UK.
this process is
Usually,
strictly for the UK.
hmm?
This process is solely for the UK.
This is solely for the UK. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So once you got to the UK now, in terms of looking for a nursing job, how did you go about it?
So that is exactly what I'm talking about because so um okay. So what I'm going to do now is because like I'm trying to see you majority of your audience they want to move to the United States or they want to move to the UK. So you want me to share the journey to the US or to the UK?
To the UK and then from the UK to the US.
But ultimately the US, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, if you're a nurse in any country at all, so I'll just share the whole process so that makes it easy for everyone. Okay, so
Okay.
if you're in any country at all and you want to move abroad, I know the popular ones that people want to go to: Australia, UK, Canada, United States. Many people want to come to the United States as well. Some want to go to Canada and all these other countries. So the main thing that you have to really know is that it is very, very possible. That's the very beginning, because sometimes people hold themselves like they will look at the costs, like the cost and everything, traveling to go and ride the NCLEX, and some people get discouraged at that point. So what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say is that in the very beginning, you have to know that it's possible. And if you are already a nurse and you are licensed, and especially if you have a couple of years of experience, let's say 2 years, 1 year experience, just know it's possible. And if you start the first process, it's most likely that you end up in any of the countries that you have chosen. So for me, I really wanted to move to the United States, but
Let
when
me
I now checked,
expand on that because people don't get this. The process is quite lengthy. So it's not just about being excited. What I've noticed from nurses that travel here, you have to be determined. You have to literally have a book and a notepad and have a plan, because it's not something that you just jump on, because at some point you might be frustrated. It's something that
Mhm,
requires a lot of patience because it takes quite some time to get there and you need quite a lot of information. So you really need to it really needs to be something that you have a vision for and something that you really want to see through to it. If not, it's easy for you to just give up along the way. So that's very important
mhm.
to point out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I wanted to say. So in the beginning, because if you see the whole process, you maybe you think about writing the NCLEX or CBT or whatever, then you get discouraged because that's what happens like I know when I decided I want to move to the United States and I saw the whole, oh, I have to travel to go and write my NCLEX and all of that. So I was almost discouraged. But then I now saw that there are other ways that you can do it. So I want to like describe how you can move to the United States straight away because other things will come into it so that this, it will not be like here and there. So if you want to move to the United States to study, and I know you can apply it to any country that you want to go to, so I want to share my own process because I feel like it's similar to so many of us that are here already as well. So in the beginning, I noticed that like it's kind of it's challenging for us from Nigeria to move to the United States because even if you have the money, you can't even find where to write the exam in Nigeria. So you have to travel to another country, and that discourages a lot of people. So what I did was like I decided to okay, let me go to a country that already has NCLEX center, and that's why I decided to pursue the UK first because for the UK it's very easy. Once even the exam is not, I feel like the exam is also a little bit more easier as well. So if you determine that you can do that within 6 months, you have done it. So the reason one of the major reasons why I decided to move to the UK first is that when I get there, then I can easily write my NCLEX there, and I'm already practicing there, and then I'm getting that international experience as well because that brings me to the first requirement for the US. Usually, many of the employers or they usually want you to have experience in a good hospital. So if I say a good hospital, it would be like a teaching
Experience,
hospital.
yes, is very important because you'll be moving
Mhm.
to work. You're not moving to go to school. So you need that background experience.
So that's what many of them want. So if you have that, they usually look for experience in teaching hospitals. And the challenge is the main challenge there is that many nurses don't work in that teaching hospital. So it's very hard for you to convince them that where you work like is also at par. So what the challenge that what can actually make you to easily go around that particular requirement is now to go to another country. So I've seen a lot of people that move to UAE, Dubai, UK, Ireland, and all of that. So so for me, I moved to the UK. But now that I'm in the United States, I noticed that that's the same step a lot of people took. They had to go to
Yes,
UAE,
UK
Abu
and the
Dhabi, maybe Ireland. That's where I've seen that a lot of us move. So the Middle East and Europe. So for me, I moved to the UK, and many of us that came with me came from the UK. So very few usually come directly from Nigeria. So and those people that move from Nigeria, if they tell you their story, they had to go write the exam maybe in Philippines and all of that, back and forth, back and forth. So many people use this my route as well. So I moved to the UK, I passed through that process I explained earlier, moved to the UK. Now, while I was in the UK, it's difficult for an employer to say that I don't have that background that they're looking for because majority of the, like if you work with the NHS, it's a big hospital, the experience, they can't really say they don't need that experience. So that requirement is done. Then if you want to write the NCLEX as well, there is an NCLEX center in different places in the UK. So you can write that NCLEX exam. You don't have to travel to another country. And then that's exactly what I did. And that's what so many people did as well. So that's the process I took. So what I want to encourage everyone in the beginning of the process is to take one step at a time. Just decide that you're going to do it. Maybe for me, it was the English exam that did it. I wrote the English exam and passed, and then a lot of people want to support you because they know you definitely get there. But if you've not done anything at all, you're discouraged in the beginning. Another thing that people do as well is that if they know they have the money and everything and they want to come directly from their country, they don't want to go to the UK at all or another country as well, you start practicing for your NCLEX, okay? Start practicing for the NCLEX exam and then register with CGFNS or ERES or Joseph Sinley or all these other agencies that helps to verify your documents and all of that. So you start verifying your documents so that once you're ready for the NCLEX, you can travel to whatever country. And it's good to know that Kenya already has a center for NCLEX, so which is close to
hey,
so many
that's amazing.
African, yeah, so which is close to so many African countries. So you cannot say, okay, maybe at least Kenya is closed. So it's something you can save to us. So once you pass the first stage, especially okay, if you verify your document with CGFNS and that stage is gone, then it is most likely that you complete the whole of the process. And while you're doing that, continue to work, continue to learn, continue to get that experience. So what I have seen right now is that in the beginning, during our own, let me say, during the time I was doing mine, you can see a lot of agencies that want to sponsor you, sponsor everything, even the NCLEX
Yes, I
journey,
think different
everything.
now, if I may ask, because I have seen like a lot of stories where nurses said they moved straight to the UK with agencies, even the United States at some point, though it's not as prominent. So is this still like that? Will you say things have changed?
Yeah, so it's still like that now, but because for the United States, because this whole process I'm talking about is different from getting a visa to move to any country. So this is just you trying to get your professional, all the licenses and everything, but there's still an immigration part, right? Which for
Yes.
the United States is quite different. Now you got a job with whoever is not their concern. So you can get a job, then you have to get the visa. So and then the visa is kind of ration. Like if it is H1B, you need to have a degree, and then there's a number they want to take for each country, right? So it's like kind of, it's not like straight away like green card. For us that got green card as well, for that's the EB3, that one as well, it still depends on the country. So for some country that has a lot of backlog, so if you're from India, for instance, it will take you more than 5 years, up to 10 years. I've seen someone that it took 10 years. Even if you have passed your NCLEX and everything, got a job, you can still not move. So,
Yeah.
and then if you're from Nigeria, maybe these days, I think it's taking like 3 years, 2 years, maybe more. And so because of that, a lot of people are using a lot of routes. So my explanation is that if you want to go to any of these countries, don't be limited, like don't be scared about like the immigration and all of that. Try and make sure that on your own you're ready. So while I was in the UK, I had a lot of dilemma, maybe to stay back in the UK or not. But I told myself, okay, let me just pass the NCLEX and let it be my decision that I want, like I can still go, or I am qualified to go, but I don't want to go
Right.
anyway. So yeah, so that's exactly what I did. So I just wrote the NCLEX and then I started making that decision. Oh, do I still want to go, or don't I, like, do I want to stay back in the UK and all of that? So try to finish your own part. Try to finish your own part. If you're still in Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, wherever you are, try to, first of all, that's the first step for US, is just go to CGFNS and start verifying your documents, okay? And
Yes.
then
And get
once
your
they
credentials.
Yes, once they authorize you to write the NCLEX, then you know you're also ready for NCLEX. So at the time you're registering for CGFNS to verify your document and all of that, you're getting ready for NCLEX. You can study on your own, and you can also register with agencies that are helping international nurses to practice for their NCLEX as well. And then once you pass the NCLEX, then it is easy for you. That's what's going on these days, because a lot of companies, they've seen that the time is long for so many countries. So many of them are not really coming forward again to sponsor everything, like sponsor the NCLEX and everything. But once you have passed your NCLEX, it becomes more easier for you to apply to agencies and they will consider you. So that's why I would say do the CGFNS first and then pass your NCLEX and then start applying to agencies. And you can also apply directly to hospitals these days. A lot of people are getting
Yes.
directly
People don't
employed
know that. Yeah.
and then there are also so many routes that are coming up as well. If you have a degree, instead of waiting for the EB3 that takes forever, you can apply for the H1B, which is for degree holders, that's a bachelor's degree holders. And then you can move that through that route. When you are now in the United States, you start applying for your EB3. And then again is that if if you've not written any of that, but you have a degree as well, there's another option where you can study a master's degree in the United States. And if you study a STEM related course, that is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, okay? So if you study a course that is related to that, so there are so many master's degree in nursing that you can, in nursing or related to nursing, that is designated as STEM. So when you get that admission to study that master's degree, during that time, then you can write your NCLEX. And then when you finish, you can get OPT of up to 2 to 3 years. So that means you can work in the United States. And during that time, then you can apply for your EB3 or H1B. So when you have already passed your NCLEX or you have a degree, there are so many options that you can take. So, but you have to make that decision in the beginning. Okay, this is the country I want to go to. So that even if you're going to take the route I take, like going to another country to stay there and then do whatever you want to do there while you wait to move to the United States, then you will know exactly what to do. Mhm.
Great. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, a lot of information there, and I greatly encourage that. It's not just about moving, but do your research, know what you have to do, and get the process started. So, someone here is asking a question. I have a CGFNS approved for Texas board, but I'm deficient with clinical hours in child nursing and psychiatry nursing. Any help on that offer in the UK? So, do you need some clinical hours? I'm not very sure about that question.
Yeah, so what happens is that if you study in the UK, for instance, and then they accept, they go through your documents and everything. They will say, because the UK nursing, they don't usually, like in the UK, you have to choose your specialty in the beginning, right? So if you want to be an adult nurse, you want to be a psych nurse and all of that, so you have to choose. So, but then if you want to practice in the United States, you need to know all these other ones. So what happens is that some people, when they go through CGFNS, they will tell them, oh, you need to go back and do the pediatrics, and do your psych. So what I've seen some people do is that they will have to research schools or organizations in the UK where they can take those courses and then complete the clinical hours. And then the result that you get from CGFNS, they are supposed to tell you how many clinical hours you need and then the courses that you need. So if you can find a place, what some people have done is that they'll have to find a place in the UK where they can complete those number of clinical hours and then the courses as well. Then another thing is that sometimes the organization that verify your documents matters as well. Because I've seen some people, they only have like the psych and they still were able to come to the United States and they are practicing in psych. And then the same with the midwifery as well. So you can try. I know that some people find more success using my maybe ERES or Joseph Sinley, especially if you are in the UK. You can try those as well and see what they will recommend you do. But then some people decide to just do what CGFNS told them to do. So it's really up to you. The particular school that you can go to depends on where you are located in the UK and whether they will allow you to come and do that aspect of nursing that you're still lacking. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. So I hope that information helped the person. Another question I will have to ask is, what do you think is the best route for someone nowadays that is, looking at this process that wants to migrate from Africa? Would you really suggest the UK route, or would you say no, there's a option that, would be much better?
So if you are coming from Africa and you don't, it's so going to the UK still depends on a personal decision. Would the person want to go and stay in the UK
Would you say
and
it's
then
cheaper? Like, is it more cost effective than coming to the UK and then coming to the US, or coming directly to the US?
so I'll say it in this way. So what I feel like the UK will do to you is that it will help you to get the experience, especially if you're not qualified. Because what will happen is that if you're still in Africa and you write the NCLEX, and then maybe getting a job, and then the employers keeps telling you you don't have the right experience for us. You will not have that experience if you're already practicing in the Middle East or in the UK. So the practicing any other place will help you to meet the requirements, and then you don't have to travel to write the NCLEX. That's what UK will do for you. Other than that, if you're in Africa, like if I should start the process again, for instance, because it was stressful for me moving family from there, if it is me, if I'm advising myself how many years ago, I will come to the US directly, but I will keep it in my mind that I have to be very patient. Like I will relax in Nigeria, try to write the NCLEX. Maybe if then we
Yes.
have if we have the NCLEX center in Kenya, maybe I'll save towards going to Kenya and then write my NCLEX and then just relax and going about my business until the visa is ready for the US. I'll just come straight away because I really admire so many people that just come from their country to the United States because I feel like it's less stressful. But
Yeah.
then maybe it would have taken me more years. Maybe it would have taken me more years. So going to the UK helped me because I didn't have like employers saying that you're not qualified and all of that. But I know I have friends that came directly from Nigeria. Maybe they work in teaching hospitals. They were able to like, which I didn't have. So you have to assess yourself and know which one will work for you. So if you already work in a good place that you will not have any problem with employers taking you, you're able to go to Kenya or Philippines or India or all these other places, even UK, people go to UK to write the exam. If you know you can do that, I feel like, and then you have a family, I feel like it's good for you to come straight to the United States. That would save you a lot of stress and energy. So yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. I also there's this thing I've been wondering, right? You know, back home, I
Mhm.
went to my university here, so with the system there, I'm still, learning a lot. So people can get their bachelors from the universities, but I know that there are also like other small like programs that also offer like diplomas for nursing. So would you say like the institution you attend matters? Like, do they consider it when you apply? Because there are people that literally back home now they can go to like this short term institutions and they're already certified to start practicing as a nurse. So do you think that the qualification matters?
So it matters in some ways because of the visa route, right? But if you're already licensed as a nurse, because like it's like what you have here, you have associate's degree. So those courses you're talking about in Nigeria that or in Ghana or any of these other countries, that they are, it's not like a bachelor's degree, like it's like an associate degree. You can still use it and come to the United States because you are licensed to practice as a nurse. So it's like the ADN here in the United States, right? So you are still like, say, you're still an RN, but you are not a BSN, something like that. So that's what they have in Africa. So they will go to all these other schools that are not in the university, and then they'll get their RN, but they are not BSN. In the US, they still have people that are RN, but they are not
Yes.
BSN. So you can come here that way. And if you want to increase your chance of coming here, if you are only an RN in Africa, is to write your NCLEX. If you pass NCLEX, then they will most likely overlook that you're not a BSN holder.
They know that you're
And then,
qualified.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
if you pass your NCLEX, so you are a US registered RN, okay, so you can still come. But the only thing is that the routes for people that only have RN is limited. So they have to wait for the EB3, which depending on where you are from takes long. So you have to be patient. So whenever that one, but if you have a BSN, like I had a BSN in Nigeria. So if you have a BSN, then you're qualified for a lot of routes. You're qualified for the H1B, and you're also qualified for the study route as well. So you can, and those ones take shorter, like H1B, if you find someone and you are lucky to get in, maybe within 4 to or even 3 months, whatever, if you're able to get it, is shorter. Then the study route as well, if you get admission in the United States and you get a study visa, then it's shorter as well. But those are for people that are BSN holders. But if you have RN, then you don't have that option. If you are RN, then you have to wait for EB3, which is green card, which is the best, but you just have to be patient because here in the US, I've seen like my colleague that is from India. She waited for 10 years to come here. Like her
Really?
kids are all
She was
grown
really
up.
patient.
Yeah, her kids. But while she was back home, she lived her life. That's why I said I would have done that. But
Right.
while she was back home, she got her master's degree. She was working. Her kids were growing. So when it was time, she just came. And then because her kids are grown, it's easier for her to to get into the system easily. Like she's not like worried about self childcare and all of these things that we are worried about here in the US. So it's a lot easier for her. So if I should go back in time, even if I had to wait that long, I'd rather wait, like just relax, get my
A lot of life
experience.
events would have happened by then. My God.
It's true. It's true. That's the only thing. People will be scared that, oh, well, what if you change your mind and all that? Yeah. But I just like it when people come straight away. I feel like all the stress of moving from this country to that country is removed. Yeah.
No, that's true. Because at least she must have been already used to her environment. She's living her life while still like
Mhm.
pursuing that path. So that's great. So now, how would you say preparing for the NCLEX was like for you? Was it much different from how you prepared for your licensure back home? Because I know for a fact that there are differences because some things that are familiar, some illnesses that are familiar to us might not be familiar to them. So how
Mhm.
did you study to feel like that you were ready to actually take the NCLEX?
So I feel like the education we have in Africa for nurses is really good. That's what I think. It's really good in the sense that
Yeah.
we learn like the theories without seeing so many things. Like they teach you the perfect nursing, but you're not seeing it. So it's like in your head. So even when you're writing the NCLEX, it's like you are still like making up those scenarios in your head because you've not really seen it. But then
It
we
helps
were
it in
taught
your
all
long-term
those
memory.
things. Yeah, so but then we are taught all those things. So that's my encouragement for anybody in Africa. Don't look down on yourself. You can do it. The only
God,
thing is that you just have
you
to
guys to be
study.
hard, very hard.
Yeah, you just have to study, you just have to study and believe that you'll pass it and you definitely pass it. And when you get here, you just need time. When you see some things, you'll be like, oh, this is what they said when you were learning it. Oh, this is all this kind of bed they were teaching. Oh, this is the equipment they were talking about. Because obviously we were exposed to those things in our mind. It's just that some of those things you didn't really see it that way. But when you get here, you'll be able to you'll be able to do it. So that's what I think. So if you studied in Africa, you can pass NCLEX. You just have to study a little bit more harder, and then
Okay.
you pass it. And for me, how I studied is that, like, I first of all, I when I started my process in the UK, I registered with an agency that I used to come here. So that agency, they have their NCLEX classes, but that didn't work for me because of like I was working, kids, and everything. So at some point, I had to do it myself. So when I was doing, I used the Mark make audios. Like he has like this yellow
Yes,
book, blue
Mark
book. I
Klimek. He
downloaded
was
it.
so good. He
Yeah,
actually helped me with my NCLEX. Very
yeah.
thorough.
So yeah, that's what I use. I was listening to it when I'm going to work and everything. The audios I will listen to it, and then U World. Those two did it for me, and then obviously before
That's what
then
I
I was already yeah already before I started with Mark Clinic and all that. I already tried to like remember my background and everything with Saunders. So you can start with Saunders. Once you feel like you are okay, you can move on to listening to those audios. That's what I did when I was studying on my own. So it's definitely something that you can do. But the only thing is that you just don't study without a plan. Just have a plan. When you're doing your verification and all of that, use that time to say, okay, before my verification is ready, and in 3 months or this thing, I should be ready for my NCLEX. So that time you're studying, you can also use agencies. So many agencies help Africans to study for NCLEX. You can Google online and choose one. I was with one decency. Not all these companies, those not those companies like will work for you as an individual. Just like this one didn't work for me, but like there are so many online, some personal tutors, some mentors, and all of that you can use. So you can use any of those companies to learn, and if it works with your learning style, you just go for it. So just yeah, it's possible to pass. A lot of people, I know a lot of people that are still in Africa, but they've already passed their NCLEX. So it's
mm,
something that is very, very possible. Mhm.
okay. So let's visit this little controversial ideology for some people that think that why are we the diasporans encouraging people to move from Africa to abroad? What do you have to say about this? I mean, I have my own personal opinions to this, but what do you think about it?
Well, I can't really say I'm encouraging anybody to come to move abroad, to be honest. It's I can't really say, but if one thing I really, really wanted when I was in Nigeria is that if somebody wants to move, let it not be like they don't know how to. So like when I wanted to move, even finding somebody to tell you things about moving to the UK is so hard. Maybe if you get someone to ask, maybe you started the process, right? Because going on, even what we are saying now, somebody will listen to this, okay, say, oh, I'm going to start with my CGFNS, and bam, during the process, you don't know what to do again. Like
And
they will tell you
that's
to do
exactly why
something.
I asked that question, because I don't want someone to jump on it just because they are hearing this video and out of excitement. So it
Yeah,
has to
they
be
can jump on
but
it,
it
but
has
what
to
I'm
be
saying is
something
that
that
it's so hard to find someone you can ask. I think that's even the reason why I started like sharing the information on YouTube and everything, because at least if you want to move, then it's a good thing. Even here in the US, anybody that's close to me, I'm telling them go to Africa so that you will know that whatever they taught you in school is different. That before I moved from Nigeria, yeah, before I moved from Nigeria to the UK, I used to have like a narrow perspective of what people there are like. But once I moved there, I now understand them more, why they behave this way, and even like them more, that kind of thing. I'll tell them move to Africa because what you know about Africa is 10%. You think you know everything, but it's 10%. Go there, see how people live. See that they also have cities as well. They think some of them think, oh, it's bush. They don't even know, go to Africa. So here I'm encouraging people to also go because it's a learning opportunity. Like I feel like
Yeah.
my kids, if they grow, I will encourage them to go and study in another country, maybe Europe, go back to Nigeria. Not for anything, but it just broadens your perspective, like to
Thank
understand
you. To
even
develop,
people that you
you
work
don't
with
even have to
more.
settle there. Yeah. You
Yeah,
don't
so
have
I'm
to
not even
settle there. It's an
encouraging.
option. Yeah.
Even the little time that I've spent here, I'm grateful for it already because that makes me to really understand everybody. They are human beings. They have their own lifestyle. They can be poor. They can be rich. It doesn't really matter. All those things. So, and then when you're relating with people, you're relating with them with more understanding. So I'm not really like promoting go, no. But I know as a nurse, if you practice in different countries, you have more contribution back home. Assuming you want to do something, I want to do something in Nigeria, I want to teach in Nigeria, I want to go and do so. I know how to help more because I have more experience. I have more like perspective of what nursing can actually look like. So my encouragement for nurses is that, like it doesn't really matter. Like if you move to another country, you're not just going there for money or anything. There are so many things that come with it. You can make more money. True, your life can be a lot more better. That is not,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't
Another
question
thing
that.
I like to add to that is that, nursing is such a tedious job. Like, only a nurse can truly sometimes understand the daily activities of another nurse. Sometimes we can
Mhm.
explain it to people, but they don't really get what we experience because they're not in the hospital floors like us. And,
Mhm.
it's good to be appreciated and it's good to be where you are appreciated. We bring this
Mhm.
information out there because we know that some people just want that opportunity. They don't know how to. And so one of the reasons I created this page really is to be an educational page where I can bring information for people that are in need of it. So it's really not like, trying to encourage people to move, but rather bring information to
Yeah,
those
but
that
at least if you want to move, you know what to do. That's just the summary of the whole thing. If you want, like I hated it, like if you want to move to, if you want to move to the UK, then you have to do all these other things, and sometimes you don't even know what to do. So that at least if back then now I want to move to the United States, I know exactly what to do because so many people they want to move, but they don't even know where to start. I recently wrote a book. I don't know if you've seen it.
please tell us.
I recently wrote a book like
Yes, I've
I don't even know where I
I've
kept
come
it.
across that book and I actually opened the link, and it will be a good gift to someone. And I think I'm going to be getting one and actually gifting to someone on this page. So good thing you brought it up.
Yeah, and if anyone wants it, I can also gift one as well. I can't even when did I keep it? Okay, but I wrote a book like outlining the steps. So I wrote a book outlining the steps on how you
I'll
can
post
become
it
a
in my
nurse here, step by
page.
step. So even if you want to do it, you know exactly what to do. Okay, so here is the book. So I wrote a book, 10 Steps to Become a US RN, just to make it step by step because I really needed this when I wanted to do this. But it's very, very hard. You at the end, like even when I was still in the UK, when I was in the UK, I still found it really, really hard to know exactly okay, when I do this with CGFNS, what next? At the end of
Mhm.
the day, I still had to go back to an agency because nobody was telling me anything. And I had a
Wow,
colleague
from the
that
UK,
moved.
and you were, oh my
When
God.
I was in the UK, I was already even, I think, okay, I don't know when I started my YouTube channel then, but I still wasn't like, okay, now it's time to choose a board. Which one is the best? Which one is, I still had to go and register with an agency, which I shouldn't have. But then I still had to because nobody was telling me anything. I had a colleague that moved from the same unit with me to the United States, and I'll be calling him. It will take forever to respond. So now that I know everything, no gatekeeping, you can get this book
Right.
step by step and just follow it. And just follow it, and you can wherever you are, and then you can do it yourself. It's very if you don't even need an agency if you have money and you know what to do. You don't need
So
anybody
the
to
book
help
is
you.
available as an e-copy. So
Yeah, it's available as e-copy. You can also get the hard copy on Amazon as well. Hmm.
awesome, awesome. That's very resourceful. Thanks for being resourceful to the community. I'm sure many people will make use of it. So now, I don't want this to make this thing extremely long, but one thing I really wanted to know, right? You transition with your family. You're a mother of, I mean, you don't look like you. So when I found out, I was like, oh my God. So when you decided to transition, was it something that like one partner had to compromise, or you guys looked at it from the perspective that this was something that was needed for your future? How did you transition along with your family together?
Yeah, so
Nigeria to the UK and then to the US with your children and your husband, right?
I know, right? So it's kind of, that's why I keep saying, like, I wish it's, I would not say it's easy. So everybody will say, oh, it's easy. No, moving from one country to the other with your kids, family, it's financially, emotionally, everything draining. But
Was it only you
when
that
you
wanted to like that upskill in your career, or your husband was considering it as well? Like, did someone have to compromise, or how did it go?
Yeah, definitely someone has to compromise because assuming if it's your partner that is a nurse and you're going, definitely you're also resigning from your job, right? So there is still this element of sacrifice on both parts. And then the only thing is that we always believe that, okay, if this person is going to, if you move to this other country, you also check in if your spouse will be able to do better in their own career if they move to that country as well. So that all helps with the decision. So I know it's definitely it's kind of challenging, especially if you have kids that are still like they are still growing. So it's challenging, but it's doable. It is.
All right. So this live is 41 minutes. I'm not going to make it any longer. I'm very happy to have you here today. Like, this is the very first live. I contacted Lynda. Lynda responded to me, and she said yes without any hesitations. And you're a very nice person. And I'm really grateful that you agreed to join this live. I'm sure someone will learn something valuable from this. And once again, it was nice having you. And yes, I will be sharing the book of your book to someone for sure. Thanks for joining again.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is like one of my best topics to talk about because it's something I have experienced
I
and I
can
do
tell you're
feel like.
passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like if somebody wants to do it, they should be able to do it without like they don't know what to do. They should know what to do if this is what they want. And I feel like I have really, really, it has really helped my career in so many ways. So if this is what another nurse in Africa needs to hear or know, they should know exactly what to do. So I like to talk about it a lot. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay, no problem. But before you leave, I'll still have you on another live on YouTube. This is Facebook. So there's more things we have to talk about, but definitely out of here.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Mhm. Bye.